Most people know TomTom from the portable navigation devices, which we sold in millions and millions since 2004. But what people frequently don't know is that we are already for more than 4 decades a very big and serious mapping company. And what I mean by that is that we actually have a global map, so all over the world, and not only a map with all kinds of attributes and you name it, but also on top of that, traffic information, dynamic information, which is incredibly important to understand the geospatial context of things. Now, we used to be a B2C company, and now we are a B2B company. We have customers like Stellantis and Volkswagen, but also Bolt and the many others. And that's what we actually do. So we sell our stack, and that consists of the maps, the dynamic information, and as well the navigation software. Forget that. Well, the defense sector is actually needing an authoritative sovereign map. Because there's plenty of use cases. One obvious use case is military mobility. You cannot move troops across Europe without a map. That's clear. And not only the map as such, but also the dynamic information, because there's a lot of interaction of military convoys with civilian mobility. So it's actually, we can provide a dual use case technology with our maps, with our traffic information, so that on one hand, you can much better do the logistics for your military convoys and your military mobility, and at the other end, at the same time, you can protect the civilians and make sure that the mobility of the civilians is not interfering too much with the mobility of the military assets, right? So it's incredibly important that Europe has a sovereign mapping solution, that we are not depending on external non-European maps. We're a European company. We're listed on the Dutch stock market. We have full control over our technology with all IP that is needed. So we can actually say that we're one of the, if not the only, European mapping solution that is sovereign in any way of the world. The impact of dynamic information is huge. But let me first explain how we produce those dynamic informations. So we have actually access to probe data, GPS traces, of over 600 million devices worldwide. And this leads to the fact that we have, in terms of traffic, we have the best product in the world. I can say that without blinking, because in Europe we have more than 75% market share with automotive companies and other companies. So our traffic is beyond anything that you can basically see. What's important of traffic is if you talk about mobility, and that's true for you as an end user, but it's not even more true for military mobility, where time is very critical. You have to be able to know where the traffic jams are, where the hazards are, because you cannot plan nor execute on your mobility without having that information. So next to the map, the dynamic information is really critical for mobility, both civilian mobility as military mobility. There's many use cases of that. And TomTom can provide the full stack, not only the planning of the mobility, but also the execution. You can actually add navigation software that tells the drivers of convoys, that tells the drivers what the real situation on the road is. What is the best way to go, not only in peace, but also in conflict situations. One thing that is crucially important as well, next to the fact that we have map information with all kinds of attributes that are important for military convoys, and the dynamic information, which is the traffic information. Next to that, our Orbis product allows actually for defense partners to add their own classified information. And that is critical. So it's an open standard, so we can make sure that as a defense partner, if you want to add classified information that you only have access to, that is fully possible with our technology.